Hey, it's Mr. Johns, and we're going to continue talking about building a tiny house, 1/24th scale. Get those out of there. And we previously have built a trailer out of foam. This is 12.5 by 4 inches wide with axle and wheels underneath of it, with some clearance. Let me flip it over and show you here, with some clearance so that the wheels can spin freely. And we then found a floor plan we liked, drew it with pencil, and then transferred those items up to each wall. And we have 2 end walls and 2 side walls. The end walls are pretty much just we got kitchen on one side, well, partially kitchen and partially bathroom. And then we have the rest of the bathroom here in green, kind of the living quarters, living area in purple, and this is the entrance with a window, and then the other side is kind of the TV and storage and the utility closet, and then the kitchen. So that's where we left off in the last episode. And then I've since covered one side with yellow siding, kind of some blue stripes, plastic in the windows with some blue trim around it, and a corner piece to kind of hide where the pieces come together. Don't love the fact that I use Elmer's to glue some of this on. It is not as neat as when you do like this blue stripe down here is glue stick. So I recommend glue stick before you get going. It would work just fine. And on the back, I did kind of a cool bumper. So it kind of reacted to my spray paint, this type of foam. Didn't like the spray paint, but I painted it silver, did a license plate, and then you can see I've got brackets that hold the bumper out from the vehicle. And then I went ahead and just put instead of a ladder or steps that you'd have to put up all the time, this rear bumper just has a platform that you can just step up on to get into the vehicle. So what we're going to talk about in this episode is how do you cover a side? What's the smartest way to do that? So what I will do is start off with some yellow that is bigger than the side that I need, and I'm going to trace it. And there's no reason to put this directly in the middle and have to cut all the way around it. This is a nice neat edge right here, and so I might as well just place that. As a matter of fact, 2 sides are already perfect, so I'm going to go ahead and place that like so, and then I'm just going to trace around it with a pencil or pen. I've got a pen handy, so let's just do that. So over here on, make sure it doesn't move. Over here on this side, let me go ahead and spin that around so we can see it just a little bit better. Line it up, and we're going to trace it. So trace it here with a pen, and make note of how low it has to go on the trailer as well, and it should be perfect on the top. So if I were to pull this away, that's what I end up with. And so grab some scissors and simply just cut maybe a little smaller than the line. That makes sure it fits, and it makes the pen not a visible issue. So we're going to go ahead and just follow. You don't have to worry about being perfect on the scissors because you're going to kind of hide it and trim it anyway. But if I did it right, then this piece should pretty much cover that side of the trailer. Now, how do I find out where the window is? Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to use a pen or pencil to draw inside that hole. Now, you can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm basically just drawing on the paper inside the window because I've already cut the hole out. So super important that you make sure that it is lined up where you want it, because you're going to cut on these lines, and try to be as accurate as you can. Make sure it doesn't move. It's a little tricky you could, yes, you could. It's better to go. Let me finish that thought. Yes, you could do this before you put the walls on, and so you wouldn't have to even deal with this issue. So that is one option. Also, it's a good idea to go bigger than you have to, because we're going to trim it anyway with some of that blue trim. You just don't want to go smaller. If you go smaller, you're going to see the yellow. Now, if I was on a, sorry, it's getting blurry. Hello, focus. There we go. If I was on a wood table with a hobby knife, I would just cut that. But I'm not. So I am going to kind of poke a hole with my scissors, and I'm going to cut a little bit bigger than I drew. Whoop, that was pretty high up. So we want to make sure that is a good rectangle. And again, if I did it right, hopefully I did, that should, I was a little bit high on that, but I'm going to have to cover that with blue trim, make my trim just a little bit thicker maybe, but that's the goal. Now if your yellow is hanging over inside the hole, then you might want to make it just a little bit wider, but it looks like I'm golden. I think that's pretty good. So I'm just going to take glue stick, and I'm going to glue this down. So you put glue stick all the way around the outside and scribble some on the inside, and then glue it here and make sure that it's nice and straight. Then you're going to, oh, before you do that, let me back up. Before you do that, don't forget to put the window in. I did that once and had to take the whole window, take the whole yellow side back off. So let's go ahead and tape your plastic. This is overhead plastic. That makes perfect window. And then glue your yellow. And so that sandwiches the plastic inside the foam and the yellow. And then as far as trim goes, it depends on how thick you want the trim, but I typically just wing it. You could definitely measure. I know it's unusual for me because I like to measure everything, but I'm trying to kind of keep my trim, it looks like about 1/4 of an inch thick, as long as you're consistent. So cut a strip or two. I would go 2 while you're cutting, and they should both be about the same width. And yes, you could use a ruler, and yes, you could measure. That would be a good idea. But I've done this a few times, and I can get pretty close. So I want to basically hide, and I have not glued this on, but like I should. But I'm going to hide any imperfections with this blue, and I'm going to mark. That's how high I want it. That's how low I want it. I'm going to mark where I need to cut it. Then I flip it over so I don't see the pencil or pen that I drew. And I basically just go all the way around and do the same thing. So I have window trim or molding all the way around glued on. And then with any leftover yellow, you're going to measure how, I know it's 6 inches tall, so you can measure 6 inches, or you can just mark it and cut it. And what we're doing is, we want to do this after you have all 4 sides covered, okay? Because what we're going to do is fold that piece in half. So let's say I end up with a piece like, that's not very great, but fold it in half, make a nice neat fold in half. And this is going to be your edge molding. I'm doing a terribly sloppy job on that, so I don't like that. So what you want to do is do a neater job than that. So let me try again. That was pretty sloppy. So I'm going to mark how tall, or just measure 6 inches. Okay, and I'm going to cut. So I have a piece that's 6 inches, and then I could use a ruler, but right now I'm at a desk, and so it's a little bit Do I have a ruler? Let me look and see. Yes, I do. So, how should you do this? Grab a ruler and make it a straight. Remember, you're going to be folding this in half, so you want to go about twice as thick as molding. And while you have the ruler, it's not a bad idea to put it halfway. This is how Mr. Johns gets his nice, sharp, folded edges on these corner pieces. And I use that ruler as something to fold against. And it should be right in the middle. And then I'm going to cut on that line. And what this is corner molding. And so it goes goes on the edge, between two sides. It covers it covers where the two pieces come together, just like I did on this side here. And it's trim, corner trim. So by the time you're done with all four sides, they'll all be covered. They'll all have corner trim and they'll have window trim. All that's left is the roof. Now on mine, I need to put a bed up here still, and over here, and a roof. And that's my next and final episode, but that'll kind of help get you going on finishing your outside siding. For now, Mr. Johns is out.